Merry Christmas, everyone. Sober Oni of G&A Reviews here with another servant spot. Wait a second. Merry Christmas. But that doesn't make it. Oh, I get it. Aniplex, what the fuck? Merry Christmas, everyone. Sober Oni of G&A Reviews here with a servant spotlight for the only servant whose name I can pronounce, Jack the Ripper. We'll be examining her stats and skills, as well as going over pointers on how to utilize her effectively, and an overall grade comparing her to how she stacks up to other 5-star servants. I also have a spotlight for the other new Christmas servant, Nursery Rhyme, linked in the description below, so please do check that out right after this. And now, on to Jack's stats. Jack's max HP of 12,696 is tied for the lowest among all 5-star assassins, and it's among the lowest of all the 5-stars in the game, with even some 4-star servants boasting higher HP than her. Her attack is slightly better, with a max attack of 11,557. She's average among both other 5-star assassins and all 5-stars in general. Now taking a look at her skills, her first skill is Misty Knight Murderer, which increases quick card effectiveness for one turn between 30 to 50% depending on level, and it also gives her a 1-turn evade. Her second skill is Information Erasure rank B, which removes all buffs from any enemy and decreases critical hit rate of that enemy for 3 turns between 10 to 30% depending on level. And her final skill is Surgery rank E, which restores between 500 to 2500 HP to an ally depending on level. For her passive, she has Presence Concealment rank A+, which increases critical star drop rate by 10.5%. As for her deck and Noble Phantasm, Jack has a quick deck with quick Arts Buster and a quick Noble Phantasm. Her Noble Phantasm is Maria the Ripper, which deals between 50% to 100% increased damage to females depending on overcharge, and has a significant damage modifier to a single enemy that scales with level and ignores defense, and this can be further strengthened through an interlude. Taking a closer look at her cards, we see that her quick card has 5 hits, her arts card has 2 hits, her buster card has 2 hits, and her extra card has 4 hits. She has a Noble Phantasm gain rate of 1.07% and a star rate incredibly high at 25.5%. This means that she is ridiculously good at generating both Noble Phantasm gain and crit stars, simply due to the amazing amount of hits on her quick card and that star rate. So I won't beat around the bush. Jack is an absolute monster. As the first 5-star assassin we get, she does all she can to make the most of it. Her main strength comes from an absolutely incredible star generating ability. There simply isn't a better star generator in the entire game. In fact, a quick chain from Jack can produce 38 crit stars without even factoring in any quick boosting craft essences or critical star drop rate increasing craft essences. It's not uncommon to just average upwards of 25 plus stars per turn with a single Jack on your team. And in turn, because of those high hit counts on her cards, she also has equally as insane Noble Phantasm gain. It's actually possible to just Noble Phantasm multiple turns in a row, assuming you can get crits with Jack on your arts and quick cards, and she has no issue just shooting from 0 to 100% in a single turn. On top of the great star generating and Noble Phantasm gain, she has a decent selection of skills. Misty Knight Murderer provides an evade and a very powerful quick buff, very similar to both Shisho's and Okita's quick buffs, and I think I went into enough detail on the merits of a 50% buff on a single target Noble Phantasm. But you also shouldn't overlook Information Erasure. It's a rule breaker in the form of a skill, and it's as strong as it sounds. If you're fighting Nero and she's stacking Imperial Privilege buffs, this skill will remove every single buff. Not only that, but Evade and Invincibility do count as buffs, meaning Jack can negate those evades if an enemy just starts spamming them. And this is an invaluable skill to have during challenge quests for obvious reasons. And her final skill, Surgery, isn't the best skill in her kit, but at max rank it is a very respectable heal with a very short cooldown, which can keep Jack alive with her very low HP pool. You should max Misty Knight Murderer first, since that is both your primary source of damage and defense in a single skill. Then you're going to want to level Surgery for the heal spamming, and then Information Erasure last, because the only worthwhile thing you gain from that is just the cooldown reduction. Even at rank 1, that skill still will always hit and will always remove every buff an enemy has. Finally, Jack's last big positive comes from her Noble Phantasm. Maria the Ripper is an anti-female Noble Phantasm, much like Carmilla's, and it also ignores defense, meaning it will hit for a lot of damage every time. Because most riders are female, it also adds an extra layer of utility to this Noble Phantasm, though to be honest, the anti-female buff is so large that you can use this Noble Phantasm against any non-caster female and still do loads of damage. And remember, the anti-female buff lasts for the whole turn, not just for the Noble Phantasm. So if you use your Noble Phantasm first in the Brave Chain, your regular attacks afterwards will still carry that extra damage buff as well. So Jack has top tier Noble Phantasm gain and star generating, decent to great skills, and a top tier Noble Phantasm. Is Jack the best servant ever? Sadly, no. She does have a couple of weak points. For one, her damage outside of crits and her Noble Phantasm is abysmal just due to her being an assassin. And she also has a big problem with her biggest offensive and defensive options being tied to the same skill. You will need to choose how to use that skill, and having it on cooldown significantly hampers you. If you use Misty Knight Murderer to dodge a Noble Phantasm or an enemy attack, that means you're missing out on a large portion of your damage. While if you use it to buff your Noble Phantasm, it means that you're completely open to being attacked and killed because you have so low health and no real defense. And even at max rank, the cooldown on the skill is just too high and will leave you too vulnerable for too long. So always use that skill wisely. But one of the best things about Jack is just how self-sufficient she is. She's a very good sweeper and soloer, but she isn't anti-team either. Of course, Waver and Hans go good with anyone, including Jack. Media, Lily, Mosh, and John can help protect her while her evade is down as well. But primarily, Jack is going to act as your crit star generator for your teams, and she produces more than enough for literally everyone on your team, no assistance required. So pairing her with crit servants like Okita, Gil, Emiya, Nobu, Shisho, Lancelot, Orion, Anne and Mary, Drake, Ushi, and even Ku prototype is just ideal. You can also pair her with Atlanta to make use of her strong quick buff, and Jack's Craft Essence, Misty Knight of London, increases the crit strength of all allies on your team by 25%, and if you are using Jack as your crit star generator, then this is just perfect for her. Not to mention if you have Okita and Nobu with their Bond Craft Essences on the same team, your entire team is just going to be doing ridiculous amounts of crit damage, which I'm sure there's a video of somewhere. Outside of that though, Imaginary Around is your go-to Craft Essence on her, since it boosts her Noble Phantasm damage, her base damage, and her star generation all at once. You can also use Be Elegant for even more crit star generating, but that's just overkill. Trust me, Jack does not need any help generating crit stars. And if Jack is your main damage dealer, then you might also want to consider using Gem Magecraft or Moonlight Fest or Gudao for extra crit damage. And my overall opinion of Jack is that she's arguably the best assassin in the game, with only one other servant being a legitimate contender to her reign. I will say she's the epitome of what an assassin should be. She's evasive and explosive all at once, she can crit extremely hard, and she produces all the stars you could ever need. Unfortunately, epitomizing the assassin model also means that she is prone to being vulnerable when she exhausts her skills, and a serious lack of damage outside of those ideal circumstances. But with skill and experience, even those drawbacks are more than worth it for the power that you're going to be getting with her, so she gets an A+ from me. I have no problem comparing her to servants like Gilgamesh, who are monstrously OP, outside of maybe only one or two small problems, though she isn't quite at the level of Waver or Tamamo, where she just breaks the game. Well, those are my thoughts on Jack. If you can roll for her, I say go for it, you won't regret it, and at some point or another, you will definitely need her, especially given how bad the assassin class is outside of a few stars. So let me know what you all think of her, and if you plan to roll for her. Also, please check out my nursery rhyme spotlight, also up on the channel today, link in the description. And don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing if you really enjoyed the video. And if you haven't already, do join the party at our Discord, and follow us on Twitter. With all that said, I'll see you all at the next spotlight. Sober Oni out, later, and have a very merry Aniplex Christmas.